Another year has come and gone, and like many around this time, I've been reflecting a lot. Specifically, I've been thinking a lot about the changing ways we receive our information, and even more specifically about the death of E3. Information is so readily available today. Communication between the developer and the consumer so immediate that massive expos and conventions feel more like a relic of the past that still exist in sparse, crumbling husks simply because people love the idea of it so damn much. And don't get me wrong, I'm one of those people. These things make me as sad as the next person. But down this mental rabbit hole, I found myself reminiscing on a time when information wasn't so readily available. I am a part of the last generation that has conscious memories of a time before the internet was commonplace. But with the birth of that early internet came information about video games. No longer were we dependent on magazines and guidebooks or the rare video special on TV. In true internet fashion, this was open source info by the people for the people. That's right, we're talking about video game cheat code forums. When I was 8 years old, there were very few things I consciously cared about, but one of those things was Yu-Gi-Oh! There came a time in 2003 when I was able to purchase an older PS1 title from our local Blockbuster. The game was Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, a game that is still fondly remembered and commonly speedran today. The game was so unique. It puts the anime to shame with not following the rules of the card game. The coolest part being how fusion works by simply upticking different cards. Some went together because of their type, some were more card specific. But the easiness and fluidity of the mechanic makes the game extremely fun to play and makes it feel like there's new discoveries to be found with every new card you receive. And with this intrigue came forum posts about all the latest card fusions that had been discovered. And these cheat code forums, in their state of zero oversight, led to bull. That's the thing about these old forums. The boots on the ground camaraderie made you have this sense of community, players banding together to discover all the nooks and crannies of these games. But then people would want certain things to be in the game that weren't, and would instead do the closest thing they could to creating that reality. They just make it up on the forum. Wouldn't it be awesome if Mystical Elf and Magical Ghost fused together into Dark Magician? I mean, I guess so. But they don't. Oh well, I'll just post it anyway. On every single website, you'd have little nuggets of legitimate truth in an ocean of bull. And that's the weirdest part. Nobody cared. Some people would get angry and complain, but then they'd be the ones who got flamed, not the people making stuff up. Like it was all a game we were in on that was taboo to point out. Soon some of the forums became like communities. People cared about each other and gave life updates. Inside jokes became a thing in most of them. And meanwhile, everyone else is just wondering, what the f*** happened to this being about cheat codes? Remember, this was pre-YouTube, pre-Reddit, pre-Facebook, pre-Discord. The places to go were limited. Another really cool thing they had in Forbidden Memories was the serial numbers. Every single real-life Yu-Gi-Oh card has a serial number in the bottom left corner, and when input into the game, you could actually buy it for a certain number of star chips, which were earned by dueling NPCs in the game. This was such a cool feature as a kid. We would rummage through our collections, inputting every card we could to see how many star chips they cost. Eventually, these cheat code forums compiled lists of all the cards' serial numbers for easy access. Ultimately, though, none of this ever really mattered that much for helping you to beat the game. So far, though, I have yet to mention the biggest offender, and that is I don't believe a single game can possibly compare for more made-up shit than Super Smash Bros. Melee. The list is astounding, some becoming so commonplace they became unironically meta. That's how long people were talking about these fake character unlocks. The most famous has to be unlocking Sonic and Tails by defeating 20 enemies in Cruel Melee. This claim was published in the April Fool's issue of Electronic Gaming Monthly in 2002, complete with photoshopped pictures of the hedgehog in action, sending the gaming community into a flurry. It took a very long time for people to realize that Sonic and Tails being in the game was just a hoax, an April Fool's joke that was meant to be obvious. Melee doesn't help itself with the fact that the character select screen leaves 2 spaces blank, assumably to let people easily random select a character. But of course, that left plenty of opportunities for convincing hoaxes to appear. The most popular after the Electronic Gaming Monthly Sonic and Tails has to be a claim which included highly convincing photoshopped images that Toad could be unlocked by hitting every single credit during the credit shootout minigame after completing Classic or Adventure mode. I believed this this one wholeheartedly as a kid, and tried so many times to shoot all the credits to no avail. It led me down a rabbit hole of proving just how gullible children can be. And by this I mean a list of unlockable characters so long and ridiculous it wouldn't fool anybody who wasn't a child. Like I was. Raichu, Chucky Finster, Doug, Koopa Troopa, Balloon Fighter, King K. Rool, Birdo, King John Stewart.
Wait.
There were even two commonplace rumors about sentient butt cheeks with eyes named Butthole Bob and Butthole Bill. We have original fake characters becoming popular on these sites. And that's the thing, it would spread. The bullshit of these melee unlocks became so prominent they didn't remain on just one site. There were certain websites like Game FAQs and Super Cheats which were pretty heavily moderated to make sure that their pages only contained accurate information. But with the exception of these kinds of websites, it was an unmoderated virus spreading like a disease. I swear I saw Butthole Bob on nearly every cheat code website's melee section. Every f***ing one. The butthole with eyes. He's not even from anything. Everyone likes to argue about what is causing the downfall of society or whatever. People talk about cable news, smartphones, echo chambers, and I don't know about any of that. Regardless of your opinion, there's simply too much information. Misinformation isn't new. It's just become a lot more dangerous because it needs to be much more convincing and unethically strategic in the modern day because people expect it more. They're suspicious more. That is to say, the reason some dumbass might believe that Jonathan Stewart Leibowitz would actually be a fighter in a Nintendo game is because no one knew anything back then. Back then, tricking people was easy. As a kid, even after learning that every single character past the included 26 was bullshit, was so disappointing that I actually lied to myself. I wanted to believe it so badly. I didn't mean for this episode to make me reflect on the current state of our digital world and its effect on society, but it really makes you think, and pine for a time since past when it was about sentient asses and Chucky Finster. Forums are becoming increasingly obsolete as the years pass, but as much as I enjoy Reddit and Instagram, I still have a love for these types of communities in my heart, and am an active member in a few of them still to this day. The cheat code forums of the early to mid-2000s will forever stand as a strange relic of a time when mass information and unverifiable rumors from friends, or a stranger on the internet, could simultaneously coexist, not just in niche communities, but everywhere. A weird fusion of internet trolling and wishful thinking from fans, they will always have a loving place in my heart, and will always be one of my favorite aspects of the early internet. Derek Jeter and Binky are the real two secret characters in Melee, by the way.